Yo, yo, yo! Welcome to episode 28 of Wings, Beers, and Tears, your DMV podcast. We come to you every week live from Montgomery County, Maryland, and here we are on a Tuesday night, and as always, we've got plenty of fun stuff to discuss in the wide world of DC sports and beyond. We are Wings, Beers, and Tears. Please give us a follow. Find us on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. You can even find us on Twitter at Wings, Beers, Tears, all one word. And, drop us a line. You can message us there, and you can find all the links to everything. Jerry, how are you this evening, sir?
Hello, just trying to charge the iPad and got the wrong charger.
Jerry's having mechanical malfunctions here today, and I know all about that today, unfortunately.
Even more than usual.
Ah, fuck. How are you, Jeremy?
I am good. Good to be here with you boys, as always.
Excellent, excellent. So here's our rundown for this evening. We are going to start hot and heavy with our Washington Capitals talk. They are on fire still. They find new and different ways to win every night, contributions all up and down the roster. They give us all kinds of fodder. They're so much fun to talk about. I'll tell you what we're not going to talk about, Jeremy. We're not going to talk about the Wizards or the NBA.
Sweet.
Excellent. We are, unfortunately, going to talk some Redskins talk later because there's lots of stuff going on. And the guy that we want to play has actually now played, so we have a little bit more to talk about actually on the field. I'd like to leave the off the field stuff where it is, and then we can even wrap with a little college action because the college football playoff picture is becoming more and more muddy each week with lots of different scenarios. So right off the top, your Washington Capitals win again, commanding fashion last night, 5-2 over Anaheim, and it really wasn't even that close. Really a complete game when you look at it. But let's just go ahead and talk about what everybody's talking about right now. So, set the scene. Late second period. Caps are dominating. They're up 2-0, but they're absolutely taking the play to Anaheim. And Leipzig, I don't know what Grant said to him or did to him, but Leipzig basically just took a run at Grant. And it was a fantastic check. It
was beautiful.
It was pretty awesome. And in the scrum that ensued, the play continued, and Stevenson, Jerry's boy, Chandler Stevenson, bangs it home.
He scores when everybody's fighting and nobody's paying attention to him. Isn't that just fitting?
The goalie was paying attention, still beat his bitch ass.
By the way, that was a fucking rocket of a shot, dude. He went far side.
There's nobody on the ice. Everybody was fighting.
And as the melee ensued, I was all fired up. I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic!" Because you got Hathaway and Leipzig out there, and they're throwing their body around. Hathaway fucking drops Grant with a great little right hook. It gives him a forearm shiver when he's on the ice. So as he stands up, and Grant stands up, and the linesman's between them, Goodbranson, who had come in as the third man in on Leipzig 3 seconds earlier, decides to get his fucking paw in the mix and sucker punches Hathaway, who proceeds to spit at Goodbranson. So
he spit his mouthpiece at him.
Yes.
So here's the deal.
Looked like a big loogie, but it wasn't.
Here's the deal. Guard. He has his hearing tomorrow. He will and should be suspended.
Yeah, fine. Fine's good enough.
He will and should be suspended because that is an awful, awful act that you don't do. However, the fact that Goodbranson is seemingly unscathed in this entire scenario is beyond me. And he went on after the game. And look, when somebody spits at you, you're going to get fucking pissed off, right?
Oh, yeah.
And after the game, he was going on and on. No place. He goes, not only is there no place in sport, in society, it's disgusting, it's awful. Hey, Goodbranson, why don't you come here with your big schnoz and I sucker punch you, you motherfucker?
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
Twice while you're being held by other guys being held by the officials.
And
fuck him.
And George called it when that whole thing started with Leipzig, and he was engaged with Grant because he had just hit him, and then Goodbranson comes in and fucking throws 2 punches with his glove on.
Well, somebody did get a third man in. I don't think it was him.
No, it wasn't.
I forget the guy's name, but they did get one guy for a third man in.
So that whole thing was a complete shit show, and again, Hathaway will and should get suspended, in my opinion, my very humble opinion. I think they're going to throw the book at him.
Yeah, well, it depends. I don't know his history at all.
I don't know his history either. I will say this, man. He was contrite, and he was a stud afterwards. He was like, "Look, that was bullshit. That was on me.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. Shouldn't have done it. My bad."
I think that him being contrite is going to help. I think he's going to straight up say, "Yeah, I got sucker punched and lost it, and I spit in the guy's face." You know, and also they fucked up with the match penalty. Was a wrong call.
You think so?
It's not a call. It's a game misconduct. It's not a match. Match is for intent to injure.
I see.
And good old Wes McCauley, he's so fucking smart. He completely fucked that one up too.
But the aftermath of that, did you see how fucking great that was? So you had the scorekeeper in the booth, and you had all the refs around and the linesmen, and he's basically got a piece of paper and a pencil, and he's got a ledger, and he's just writing numbers down because they're trying to figure out and balance out what's the delta at the end of the day. So the delta was a 3-minute power play for Anaheim. Very, very odd.
That's probably okay.
And I'm sure that was fine.
Yeah.
The fact that it took them nearly 5 minutes to get to that point, and then they had to go and review something else. And then, to your point, McCauley got the match wrong. So, I mean, what a complete cluster.
Yeah. Well, and the review was to sort of confirm, it's on behind us here on TV, this whole thing going on. So, and also this asshole, I don't know who he is, number 38, this dumb motherfucker, he says he's holding, our boy Hathaway, and then it says, I saw the spit. Well, why did you see the sucker punch and then you see the next one you let him have? Fuck you. You're out there to protect the players, and you protect the dick. You suck.
Well said, Jeremy. I knew you'd get all fired up tonight. No, so seriously, unfortunately, the spitting incident is what is getting the top billing.
Yeah, and that is bad.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
I'm not excusing it. I'm not.
But as usual in these things, right? It's almost like last week with the Mason Rudolph and Myles Garrett scenario, where that was just so bad on so many levels. But as you go down and you parse it, you're like, every piece of that scenario was despicable. The main act is the one that takes top billing, but nobody has lack of culpability in that entire scenario.
Here's my thought.
Counselor, what do you say, Jerry?
What you got, Jerry? Great so far.
He's so
Brad
pissed off.
Marchand licks people. Fucking licks people twice and gets nothing, except don't do that again.
Right. Licking is an endearing way to put your saliva on someone,
Sidney
apparently.
Crosby
He's just trying to hold his mouth guard.
on Kuzi, like
did.
last year or the year before, I can't remember. Nothing happened. Obviously, I don't have a problem, honestly, if he's gets supplemental discipline, even a suspension of a game or two. But I think the code in hockey is that when two guys fight and one guy hits the ice and the refs come in and grab, that's sort of it. Mm-hmm. That means everybody separates and cools down.
Sure.
In this case, there's a second guy that comes in after the fight, and while our guy is being held, jacks him in the face.
Yeah.
Where our guy cannot put his fists up to protect himself because he's being held by the ref, probably without engaging with the ref, which is even worse than what happened. So he spits his mouth guard at him. He doesn't spit him at him with saliva. He spits his mouth guard at him out of frustration. So is that bad? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good.
But there's mitigating circumstances where if he normally spitting on someone would get 5 games, he should get 1 game because of the circumstances. The mitigating, it doesn't excuse it, but it lessens it. So I don't have a problem if he gets suspended for a game, fine. Gets a fine, okay. But the other dude should get something too because he violated the rules.
He'll get nothing.
He'll get nothing, of course.
Which is just shocking to me.
Which is part of why I'm saying fine. A game I wouldn't be mad, but I think a fine is enough.
But my biggest problem with the whole freaking thing, and I texted you guys last night, is I was watching it, and everybody's doing something except for Michael Kempney. And I thought you're supposed to, like when this happens and you see dudes coming in, right, you're supposed to grab them and hold them. That's what happens every time.
And to your point, you know who did that? Stevenson scores the goal, doesn't even celebrate, goes behind the net, and he goes and grabs somebody.
Right. So our boy Hathaway is getting jacked up on different. He's fighting a 2-front war. Kempney's just standing around like, what happened? What's going on? I just got off injured reserve. I'm not getting in this shit. To the point where Carlson has to come in. So you see Carlson like getting involved in it, and Tom Wilson is like is like my Rottweiler when he's got like food, but he can't get to it, and he just wants to get out there so bad.
Did you see his face after that whole thing went down? He basically stood up and started barking at the Anaheim bench for a solid like 3 minutes.
Pretty sure he said "you suck" about 400 straight times.
It's
That's
just the
something along those lines.
hypocrisy of the whole thing.
It is. It is.
The league takes into effect the teams that are involved, the players that are involved, and that factors into it. And that's what pisses me off because the Caps always get the fucking short end of the stick.
Mm-hmm.
Wilson is treated differently than any other player in the league, including, anybody from Vegas. Who's that dude who fights all the time?
Reeves.
Yeah, Reeves. I mean, he gets treated differently than him. Obviously, the Penguins get special treatment.
Sure.
Boston seems to be God, if anybody did it, if friggin' Austin Matthews did it, they'd probably knight him. If they knight people in fucking Canada, I don't even know. But it's just the hypocrisy of it. If he gets more than a game, it's going to be infuriating. Now
I think he will. I'm just going to throw it out there. I actually think I looked this up. The last spit incident they had on camera was some miscreant from San Jose like 8 years ago or whatever. That was more of a high profile one like this where the cameras were on it or whatever. And he got 5 games.
Was he getting punched when he did it?
I don't recall the rest of
right
the
before and right after.
Right, but he was being held back and he was fighting 2 people at once.
Yeah, see, I don't know the other circumstances, and that's where I'm with you. I just think the league gets it wrong so often, and the Caps tend to be the whipping boy, like you just said. I'm fully anticipating us going, what the fuck? It's almost like Tommy to start last year, Tommy Wilson.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, he's going to get 4 or 5 games, and they were like,
and it's not going to be worth appealing.
Sit for 20% of the season.
It's
like,
not going to be worth appealing it because you won't ever hear until the 5 games run.
Exactly.
So,
I think it's going to be in that 3 to 5 game range. I really do.
I mean, that would be utter horse shit. So NHL, I don't put it past them. But I still got to say, my favorite part of that whole thing was watching Hathaway celebrate as the goal scored. He sees what's going on behind the net. Obviously, the visuals aren't going to help on the podcast, but
it's a good demo, though, Jeremy. You look limber.
He's sitting there. I'm pretty sure, as he's trying to tackle 2 guys, he's also saying "fucking rights, boys," for the goal. And he's just like, "Yeah," and then he starts grabbing out as he's celebrating, and it was just on. It was hilarious.
So that whole play was such a great hockey play, and it was our boy Peerless. I follow him on Twitter, and he said, "Hey, for any of you that are new to the sport and you saw this, he goes, don't worry or be alarmed. He goes, this was pretty much a nightly occurrence back in the mid '80s." I thought that was perfect. No, but seriously, again, it really sucks that Hathaway is going to get this check mark next to his name. Because he is a good dude, and he did stand up in the locker room. He did not have to take questions, especially at his stall, and he did. And he offered up the info, and he's like, "Look, I fucked up. Heat of the moment, sucker punched. Don't know what went through my mind, but I did not react the right way."
I mean, that's what he's got to say.
Of course.
And he and the Caps should be stressing the fact that this was probably unlike any other spitting incident where, like the douchebag Marchand will go up and lick people just to incite people. Like there's no self-defense or there's no defense mechanism. He's just an asshole. It's unprovoked.
Sure.
Right? I think that's worse than being in a brawl, having your hands back, and the only thing you can do is spit your mouth guard at the guy. Right? So
or try to take a swing over an official, which is really
so what am I going to do? I'm going to hit. I'm going to throw an official off.
I almost think in that heat of the moment where he was so pissed off because his rage went from like 0 to 60 in 0.1 seconds. It's almost like as he lunged forward with his mouth and his mouth guard came out, it was almost like he was thinking in his head, "Do I just go and headbutt this guy right now? Like, what do I do? Like,
I was
Roadhouse style."
I was listening to who's the guy on 106.7, the loudmouth.
They got a lot of Danny Rouillet.
No,
Grant
in
Paulson.
the afternoon, the big guy.
Oh, Chad Dukes.
Chad Dukes, yeah. He had his whoever his sidekick is. And I normally agree with whatever Dukes says. I know I like Dukes. He does a lot of spiel and some.
Oh yeah. No, he's got good shtick, but he's a good dude.
Yeah, but so he had a sidekick on, and they were talking about it, and obviously, universally, you can't defend him, right?
No.
You have to say spitting's bad, blah blah blah. But this guy was like, I just think that Hathaway's lost a lot of people, and it's going to take a lot of time for the fans to come back around. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, douche? I'm give him a game, but I'll chat. I don't think he's necessarily a bad guy.
Well, here's the deal.
I don't give a shit.
Do you think Kuzi has lost any fans? Kuzi got caught doing cocaine for fuck's sake, and everybody's like, "Hey, welcome back, Kuzi."
Yeah, I mean,
dude.
this guy didn't. Whatever.
Dude,
Everybody's
fandom brings out the best in the court of public opinion. He is perfectly fine, and in a lot of ways, I think he endeared himself to a lot of the hardcore Caps fans because, like Jeremy said, he took on 2 guys while celebrating a goal, dropped one of their tough guys, then got sucker punched twice, and basically looked like he was like, "All right, line him up, let's go." Like just send me your biggest, toughest guy.
And this is where, I know this won't happen, but this is the perfect chance for the NHL to step up and stop some of this bullshit where you have a clean hit and then get jumped by 2 or 3 guys. I mean, that's what happened to Leipzig. Completely clean hit.
Sure.
At least let the guy he hit defend himself instead of 2 other guys jumping in on him. That's absolutely ridiculous, first of all. And then they need to do something. They all have all these mandatory things. You come off the bench for a fight. It's 10 games, all this other crap. If you hit a guy who's being restrained by an official, that should be the automatic game misconduct.
See, there's your match penalty because that's intent to injure.
And I'm not saying Hathaway absolutely should have been thrown out of that game. There absolutely should be some sort of supplementary discipline. There is no question whatsoever about that. But he's not doing any of that if the guy didn't sucker punch him.
Exactly.
No,
simple. All of these scenarios are high-level sports, heat of the moment, emotions are high, and you get this physical adrenaline rush. There is always dominoes that fall that are, factors in the ultimate outcome. And again, I just wish the ultimate outcome doesn't look as bad as it was because it didn't look great.
Now, with that said, if the roles were reversed and this was our guy getting spit on, I'm sure my take would be different. Because
but I don't think one of our guys would sucker punch. See, Hathaway and Wilson don't sucker punch anybody. They don't have to. They're like, let's fucking go.
But I admit I'm a Homer fan.
Sure.
So if anybody's got a problem with my hypocrisy, go fuck yourself.
Well said. Well said. So getting back to the game real quick, that Leipzig hit on Grant was just fucking beautiful.
He played outstanding.
So Dave made the point on the pod, a few weeks back, that he hopes, because he agreed that Leipzig is just lights out skater, and he goes, I hope he has some more tricks in his bag, and that's not the only thing he does. He is showing more and more. He contributes in a lot of ways. He is not an offensive juggernaut of a finisher, but the guy's going to get some scrappy goals. He's going to get some good assists, and I love his physical play. And when you skate the way he does, you don't have to be that big to hit somebody hard.
The bottom 2 lines are producing vastly in greater numbers than they did last year, and that's why the wins are better.
Yep.
I mean, they're just a more complete team.
So you mean McClellan wasn't satisfied and improved an already good team? What a concept.
Fine culture.
Damn fine culture.
Damn good call.
Now, so aside from the circus that occurred there at the end of the second period, really was a complete ass whooping by the Caps, but it should have been, right? Here you have Anaheim, a team that is young, in flux. They have a few leftover veterans that are still relevant. I mean, Getzlaf, for my money, is still just a beast.
And he's kind of
guy's like 55 years old.
I love that guy. By the way, did you see when the captains were over there and they were getting the feedback from the refs? Usually, when your guy gets spit at or something obvious like that happens, the captain from the other team is all adamant. He and Ovi were just standing there shooting the shit. I don't think Getzlaf actually cared. He was just kind of like,
They'd both rather talk about getting drunk and what the hell was going on.
Pretty much. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, no, they're both good. Well, obviously we think Ovi's a good dude, but I think the same about Getzlaf.
Oh, I think Getzlaf's awesome. Love that guy. I'm very, very pleased with their performance again. And I mean, they're getting points. The Islanders are absolutely on fire,
amazing.
Red hot.
They have first of all, they have played 5 less games. How is that possible?
Yeah. Well, again, the
NHL.
Hey, it's completely fine, and I'm happy if the Islanders overtake the Caps and the Caps start playing, going back in second and try to follow a little bit, get some rest. I don't want them to have the best freaking record in the NHL. That's dooms. That's doomsday for them, man.
Yeah. No, I want them to do well. I want them to be well positioned in the playoffs, but I'm with you. I almost would like to avoid the President's Trophy if at all possible. And again, we're
no issue in that. No interest in being a president.
No. It's really the curse, having that target on your back.
What we have learned is you get a favorable matchup.
Yes.
That's what you want.
It's all about matchups in the playoffs. Matchups and health and goaltending. I mean, we've
Ball bearings.
all ball bearings
All
these days.
ball bearings nowadays.
No, so fun watching the Caps. I love weeks like this when they go a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule.
Yes,
It's,
yes,
you
yes.
know, lots of games going on, fun to watch, and they're just a good product on the ice.
What's their record? 16-3 or something like that? Is it like
15?
16, 2 and 4.
guess
16,
I guess
3
I
and
could
4,
look it
something
up.
like that.
Yes, it's
16,
absurd.
3 and 4.
It really is absurd. And they are one of the more well-rounded teams. Now, this is a quick question here for Jeremy, who's our resident, capologist over here.
Sounds like a disease.
So they were the reason they had to send Samsonov down and bring Vanacek up was cap related.
Yep.
So let me ask you this:
16-3-4.
16, 3 and 4. God, that's fucking red hot. So they have.
It's hot.
They've got Dowd and Hagelin that are hurt, but not hurt enough to be on LTIR, which hurts them, pardon the pun, because you've got basically 2 dead cap hits sitting there, so you have to fill in, so they have to get creative. What happens if Hathaway gets suspended? Does his salary during the suspended game or games come off of the salary cap, even though he does? I don't think so,
I don't
right?
think so. I don't think whatever DOPS suspension comes off the books. I think Kuzi's did.
Yes.
I do not think Hathaway's will. So what
That was my understanding as well.
So what they're going to have to do is probably LTI or one of those 2 guys. And I mean, I think we're only talking about 10 days before. I mean, the 10 games will not come into play for Hagelin. It's going to be the 24 days. So they can do that. He's already at, he's already at 20 days or whatever, 14 days, and he's still non-contact. So,
Right.
I don't think that would hurt them. And, it sounds like, I don't know exactly what happened to Dowd. Did he get his hand skated over or something?
I have no idea.
I know he cut his hand, like the palm of his hand, and they're saying it's not great, which
Well, that
worries
kind of
me
sucks.
because it sounds like some kind of surgery is needed, or maybe he already had it. I don't
That
know.
blows.
But I mean, just think about it. You can't put a glove on that thing
No. Fuck
until
no.
the wound's healed. I mean, you
Yeah,
just can't.
yeah.
So I think
Man
one
up,
of those
pussy.
guys.
There's more bacteria in a hockey
I
glove.
mean, it's, you might as well just you need to take an IV bag out with you. You're going to play.
Let's start Georgie.
So hey,
Well, he's
who got
cheap
the-
enough.
Hey, who got the first goal last night, Jerry? Richard Panic.
Oh, yeah.
he
I
got
saw
off the
that.
schneid.
I didn't even
Goodness,
see it.
though.
I was like, who the fuck
Dude,
is that guy?
that
Who's
fucking
14?
shot was
Great shot.
ridiculous. Good Lord.
I saw him skating last night. I looked at Holly and I was like, who's 14? Is that a new guy?
So he looked, the last couple games, he's looked much better to me.
He has. He has looked more
I
confident.
think when he was playing to start the season, I think he was nursing an injury. So when he went out hurt, I think that was just the fact that the injury got exacerbated to the point that he couldn't hide it anymore. You know?
The Caps are. I have heard that the Caps players are relentless on each other about like girlfriends and stuff. I've heard. I
yeah.
have inside information.
I have
And,
inside information.
and Brett Conley did not handle that very well when he was here
Not at first.
early on. So maybe that happened with Leipzig. Maybe he's very sensitive, and
could be.
Ovi's just a bull in the china shop. I'm
Oh,
sure.
yeah. He ribs everybody.
I'm sure he's probably drinking vodka, smoking cigarettes in the locker room. And
I love it.
Just ragging on people's girlfriends.
Like it's like 1982 again.
He has like his Adidas sweatsuit on with the cigarette.
You know who else?
Versace or adult D&G or something.
Stereotypical Russian.
So you know who else last night that I was super impressed with? And again, I'm a homer and I've liked this guy a long time, but I had to do a double take to figure out who it was on the ice. Travis Boyd played another fucking
was
awesome game. His hands last night, there was a couple passes from below the goal line where he looked like a video game
he had
player.
the assist on Panics,
He
right?
did. And I thought on 2 or 3 of the different plays, I thought it was either Backstrom or Kuzi back there, and it was freaking Travis Boyd. That was impressive shit right there.
All right, so the next 4 are at the Rangers on the 20th, and then we have 3 home games against Vancouver, Florida, and Tampa Bay every other day.
Man, that Tampa game's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Those games last year were legit.
Oh, they were so great, weren't they?
Because everybody was
Playoff
prepping for
games,
the playoffs.
Absolutely. So what do you think we do in the next 4, Jerry?
5-0. 5-0.
3-1. Probably. I'm gonna say 2 wins outright, 1 win in overtime, and lose regulation. So 3-1.
I'll take that. No, it's gonna be. We talked about earlier. There are no easy stretches, and this is just another.
Well, they should be able to beat they should be able to beat the Rangers, right? And
The Rangers aren't great.
is Vancouver.
They're solid.
I get them mixed. Well, everybody's solid, but I get them mixed up with. Man, that's Ottawa. That's terrible, right?
Yeah,
Ottawa's bad. No,
really
Vancouver's actually sitting in a playoff spot. I know it's early in the season, but they're sitting top 8 in the West.
Florida always plays the Caps tough. So now I'm going to revise. I'm going 2-2.
I could see them going 2-1-1.
Yeah.
You know, where they sneak out a point in OT. But I think 2 wins is reasonable. Again,
I'm going to say 2 wins in the next 4.
I'm really impressed with the way that they're finding ways to win. And Reardon has said now, he goes, we're really getting, and there's such hockey cliches when hockey coaches talk. I love it. But he goes, we have a group that's really buying in to how we like to play. Mm-hmm. And he goes, so even if we have some flux in the lineup and guys are going in and out or up and down for cap reasons, he goes, we're confident that the guys we're plugging in are playing the same system and style that we all want to play. And that is really a key. I think he learned a lot of that from Trotz.
He did, but it's almost like he's going for, hey, I liked the structure that Trotz brought, but I want more. I want more pressure, and it's I can't
How fucking
say,
good is Trotz though, man.
Oh, he is
Jesus Christ.
Beast.
And I can't say it's Boudreaux-esque completely with it's not that aggressive, but the dangerous chances against Holtby's either one or 2 in the league in high danger opportunities against, and that's just a result of the aggressive play.
Yep.
And so it kind of, falls on deaf ears. With early in the season, a lot of the pundits says, taking their foot off the gas. Like, no, they're not. They're getting beat because they didn't take their foot off the gas. So
I promise we will get to something other than hockey here in just a little bit.
There's other stuff other than hockey.
There is other stuff other than hockey.
Yeah. Last thing I want to say real quick.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
The spitting incident is I can't wait to hear our boys at Spit and Chicklets comment on it. Because I just, with Whit and Biz, they're going to have very solid takes, I think.
I think so,
them,
too.
But they're going to be very solid.
Well, I think Biz is going to be pissed that Goodbranson sucker punched him.
I think he's going to be pissed at both guys. Like, what the fuck are you guys trying to do to our sport? Tighten up.
Yeah, he's going to be like, dude, if I got sucker punched back in the day,
I wouldn't have spit on him.
I wouldn't have spit on him. What I would have done is said, hey, seriously, I know that everything stays on the ice. If you really fucking meant that sucker punch, you meet me outside the locker room and let's just fucking go.
Yep.
Because that's bullshit, So here are a couple of stats here from early in the season. And we talked about how exciting the NHL is. We've talked about how leads are not safe. There are points to be had, everything. Here's a couple of the bullet points here from Pierre Lebrun, who's a very reputable hockey insider.
One of the best in the biz, no question.
So at the quarter mark here in the 2019-2020 NHL season, 11 different players are on pace for 100-plus points. That's like 80s-esque. I mean, 11 players.
Was it last year? 3?
3? Yeah. So 11 players on pace. Now, again, this is just projected. It's on pace. But bottom line is you got a lot of young stars scoring goals, having assists. There was a lot of goals being scored.
Draisaitl and McDavid are just off the chart.
That is sick.
I mean,
sick.
Talk about 80s Edmonton. Well, you got your.
So here it is. The scoring, overall league scoring, is at the second highest level in the last 23 years.
Nice.
So, I mean, this is an exciting product that they have out there right now. And comebacks are trending at a record pace never before seen. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about that. So, bottom line is tune in every night because it's exciting, it's fun, it's fast, it's physical. And hey, the league won't screw up any punishments on anybody. It's great.
Never.
It's amazing. Speaking of which, real quick, did you see the Reeves hit the other night?
I did not.
Okay. I like Reeves. I think he's an awesome dude, but he takes liberties.
I don't want to fight him. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on his.
No.
I'll stay on his
I'm going to
good
say
side.
my name is Jeremy.
You hear that one jackass on Wings, Beers, and Tears? Yeah, that's Jeremy. Get that guy. It's like a Dumb and Dumber when he points at him. He's like, "Oh, get that guy." No, but Reeves hit the other night. I thought so. You hear the pundits talk. He absolutely takes a shot at. Cannot even remember. I think they were playing Calgary, and he fucking hits him, and he hits him high, and he hits him. His arm comes up at the end. Guy's head goes flying back, and the announcers are like, "Great open ice hit by Ryan Reeves." I was watching it. I watched it back, and I watched it back. Puck is long gone. The guy's head is quote unquote down because he's in a hunched over position. How he was exiting the zone. He was looking at Reeves when he got hit. Reeves came in with reckless abandon and basically made no attempt to play the puck, which, by the way, it was long gone because it drifted right by him as he was skating
let it
towards
go,
said
yeah.
player
Yeah.
and just fucking lit him up. Now, did he hit him really hard? Was it an impressive hit? Yeah. But to Jerry's point earlier, if that's Tom Wilson, we're talking 8 to 10 games. And instead they're like, Revo with the big hit. I'm like,
8 to 10 games and a quote from Sidney Crosby.
so the double standard in the NHL is real. The Department of Player Safety has zero continuity with their punishments, and as a result, my prediction here, last note on the Hathaway thing, I actually think he gets 4 games.
I say 1.
What did Revo get for this thing? Or we don't know yet.
Nothing.
George coming in with facts. That's what
Yeah,
we
we're
don't
just
want.
seeing-
We don't like facts.
Live
Yep.
replay.
Yep,
action.
this is the hit. Yep, he got nothing. Yeah. Isn't that fucking ridiculous? He gets him, and he goes out of his way to get him, and it's bullshit. But Revo, if you ever listen, I'm please can I be your friend?
Jeremy thinks you're an asshole.
I heard you make good beer. I want some of the beer.
It's too good.
We'll probably trade for him at the waiver or the trade deadline. We'll trade for
Talk
Reeves.
about Bash Brothers. Him and Wilson. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
but they hate each other.
They do hate each
They
other.
just don't like each other at all. So hey, cheers to the Caps, a wings, beers and tears. Cheers to the Caps. Let's keep it rolling, boys. And as we go into the holiday season, again, lots of good hockey upcoming, and I do hope we continue to play well and stay near the top. But if somebody can pass us and take the President's Trophy, be my guest. Go for it.
Go for it, man.
Have at it, guys.
I'm ready for the year that we break that curse.
All right, what we're talking about now,
trophy.
Todd.
All right, so we are rolling right into some more positivity from our local teams, and Lamar Jackson and their Baltimore Ravens, and he has gone from, man, this guy has potential, to, man, he could be exciting, to, man, he is exciting, to MVP chance now at the games, and they're not, that's not a far-fetched, actually Vegas has him with the best odds right now, front runner for the MVP.
See, Ravens get MVP chance. Lamar gets MVP chance. Skins get sell the team
Sell
chance.
the team chance.
Jesus
They continue
Christ.
to diverge and go to opposite ends of the spectrum.
Like everything else, when somebody other than the usual suspects, i.e., the Saints or the Patriots, they start to have a winning streak, everybody overreacts.
Mm-hmm.
And the Ravens are on a hot streak, and everybody's overreacting.
Yes, yes.
They probably need a game in the next 2 or 3 where they get sent back down to reality because fear is a great motivator.
Sure.
So, their defense still has troubles. I can, at some point they're going to run into a defense that will take away the tight ends, and their wide receivers are going to have to make plays, which they're not making a lot of. I mean, Lamar's special.
He is. He's super special, man.
And they're good enough to win. And their defense, they've come into their own a little bit. So, earlier in the season, I thought they had some weaknesses, especially in the secondary. But since the Marcus Peters trade, they've sort of shored that up a little. They're a really good team. I predicted, I think, 11 wins.
I think you did.
Yeah, 11 wins. They'll probably get 12, but they're not.
Nice prediction, jackass.
Yeah, they're not. They're not going to. I don't think they're the best team in the league. I think they.
Do
Still
you think
have
the
some work to
Patriots still hold that?
I don't think there's a clear best team.
I
I don't think there is. That's a good point, Jeremy.
Good.
There's a lot of teams that can scare you, but they all have flaws, right?
I mean, the Patriots are
absolutely.
just so used to their being there. So when you see them, but man, and he's my quarterback in fantasy, so I notice it more than most. But something's going on with Tom Brady. I mean, he looked terrible against Philly.
He's old. That's what's
I mean,
going on.
he was just
Look at
throwing the
Rivers-
ball into the ground
look at
instead
Rivers
of
last night.
Yeah,
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
I think Father Time wins every time.
Yeah, it's
And
possible.
I think, but so if the Patriots win, it's going to be because of that defense. It's
That
not going
defense-
to be because of the offense.
I mean, they've gone back, right? So they started out as that defensive juggernaut, ball control, defense. That was always Belichick's calling card. And then they morphed into this offensive, machine for more than a decade. And now they're reverting back to, I'm not making this comparison here and saying this is apples to apples. But when Manning won his last Super Bowl with Denver, Manning was terrible. that Denver D was nasty, and they had playmakers. Now, Brady is playing at a way higher level than Manning did that year. But the formula, I think, is still there. And Brady, does he have one more Super Bowl left in him when it's not that pretty? Because let's be honest, last year's Super Bowl was not pretty at all. But they got it done.
Yep.
So team-wise, they're still such they're a machine as a team.
Well, they're still a team to beat. I mean, that's what you are.
Because they've been there. They do not get flustered.
I just think that in past years they haven't had that tough of a road to make it to the Super Bowl. Always being at home, all this, that, and the other. They have to basically win one game, and they're going to have to win a couple games this year.
They will. They will. And hopefully the Ravens are in that mix.
Yeah.
And I know Kansas City doesn't look great right now, but they still scare the shit out of me come playoff time. I just think Mahomes is that guy. Mahomes and Jackson are those guys that if you're in a playoff game, road or home, and you just need points, they can produce.
Yep.
And they are single-handedly in the prime of their careers right now. They are game changers. Brady is no longer a single-handed game changer. He needs other people to help him move everything along.
Yeah, I mean, the lack of mobility only, gets magnified this day and age and with his age. And I just think that Gronk was always his, safety net. It's just not there. And, he can't get it downfield more than a few times a game. And I mean, he doesn't have to for them to win 12 probably, but he might have to for them to win a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Check out these stats, guys. The Ravens have 243 first downs. The opponent has 191.
Okay.
The Ravens have 2,038 yards rushing. The opponents have 943.
Jesus.
That's
when you're more than 2-1 rushing and you've got over 2,000 team rushing yards, that's impressive.
That'll happen when your quarterback is one of the top rushers in the league.
Yep.
Yeah, time of possession 34-35 for the Ravens, 25-51.
That is beautiful
for the opponents.
I mean, that's how Harbaugh he goes to bed at night dreaming of those stats.
Lamar is completing 66.3% of his passes for 2,258 yards. 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and he's on track to rush for over 1,000 yards.
That to me is staggering because in order for a quarterback to rush over 1,000 yards, what has to happen? They have to play every game.
Yeah.
His longevity, knock on wood, so far this year, really impressive.
And it's not like he's going to be just eking over 1,000. I think it's more like 12 to 13.
Yeah, he's got 750 or something like that right now.
Yeah, no, his pace right now is quite scary. Well, and we talked about this when we did our previews for the season. They were the wild card with regard to how this offense was going to evolve, and it's pretty much been everything that they advertised.
He's been everything that I have predicted him to be.
Jerry the soothsayer.
I thought Holly made those predictions.
They should Hey Jeremy, they should probably take him out now and hold him out for the rest the last 4.
Definitely want to save him for Game 7. There's no question you want to save him for Game 7.
Play RG3 right now.
Yeah.
It's all part of their master plan.
The Heisman backfield.
Too good. So, as usual, the Ravens bring us joy and the Skins just bring us misery.
Do we have to talk about them?
So here's the deal,
They
right?
got blown out by the fucking Jets. Amazing.
They got
it was 31-0.
I know.
To the Jets. They have 3 wins.
Just terrible. Somebody asked me, and they said, Todd, you're a sports guy. Listen to your podcast, yada, yada, yada. I'm an old school Skins fan. Haven't really watched much. And they said, I tuned in, and they said, Haskins doesn't look like a first-round pick to me. Usually a first-round quarterback has some sort of pedigree, some sort of look. I said, okay, that's a fair point. Small sample size, you tuned in or whatever. I said, how do you even know what he is? Because the offensive line is atrocious.
And they don't care.
No one gives a shit. We'll get to that in just a second. But their playbook right now, the Callahan playbook, is self-preservation. And you said it last week, Jerry. Basically, hold on to the ball and get as many meaningless first downs as possible. Not to actually push the ball down the field and score, but so that the other team doesn't have the ball and they can't score. I mean, it is so handcuffed right now. Some of the best things he did in college were get outside the pocket, extend the play, throw the ball down the field into tight spaces, all these risk things that they're so risk averse now. I can't really evaluate him, I don't know what to say.
I would only disagree a little bit with the assertion he doesn't look like a first-round pick in that he looks like a first-round pick who played 1 year college ball. I mean, the greatest play he made was the one that got called back on a hold, the one downfield to to McLaurin.
Yep.
And that's a play that maybe 5 guys in the league can make. And so, I mean, arm talent-wise, he's absolutely a first-round pick. His head's just not there yet, and that's going to take time. Will he get there? I don't know. But, I mean, it's. I'm not going to say promising. That's probably a little bit overly optimistic, but the tools are there.
He looks to me like he belongs in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. The arm is really...
He's fine.
He's bingo.
He's fine. He's not
perfect.
great.
No.
He's about where you would expect him to be.
I completely agree.
When they drafted him, they knew it was going to take a long time for him to develop. That's why some people didn't want to draft him.
Exactly. Right. It's like Jay doesn't hate him. Jay didn't want him in the first round.
Jay was playing for his job.
Yeah. He's like, no, I don't want a guy who's not going to play.
Jay needed guys who could help him this year.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. So I actually am semi-encouraged by the way he's playing because I think he looks...
he's not good. He's not bad.
He's just... You know what he looks? He looks competent.
Yeah,
he looks like he understands what's going on. So now that we get to the offensive line, Jerry, so you
Eric Flowers is their best lineman. That's all I'm going to say. He's right now because Brandon Sheriff has been a complete bust.
Okay,
I would not pay that dude any money.
Does he look like he's mentally checked out or what?
He is.
He doesn't look like he gives 2 shits about what's going on.
Morgan Moses sucks. I mean, he's terrible.
Is he going to lead the league in holding calls?
Absolutely. And when he doesn't hold, he sucks. Right?
When he doesn't hold, it's just not called.
Right. He's just. I mean, and they just don't care. They don't want to be here. They don't want to play. And when you don't have a line that's motivated to block, there's really not much you can do.
Seriously. I mean, you're
you're
dead in the water.
So
and we saw that, like you said, the fucking New York Jets are inept.
Right.
And they were up 31 to nothing.
The Jets have a decent defensive line. They have a decent defensive line, but their secondary's terrible. The bright spot for the Skins is McLaurin. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Great.
Kelvin Harmon played pretty well.
He did play well.
Right? He's showing flashes.
I thought Geis looked promising.
Okay.
No, he's
this gets back to, what's going on with the coaching. Did Geis get a snap in the first quarter? What the hell are they doing?
They were running AP.
And fucking Smallwood. What the hell is he
getting Smallwood, exactly. I love Smallwood. He's a West Virginia guy,
Christ.
But why is he getting any carries?
It's shocking to me that he's still in the league, let alone playing over a guy like Geis.
These coaches are, Greg Minuski, God bless him. I assume he pays his taxes, but other than that, he probably does nothing worth talking about.
Not as a DC.
He is horrid. The defensive backs are horrid. They need... Other than the safety that they got from the Giants,
he's a good player.
Everybody needs to go in the safety. The linebackers okay. Yeah. So they need 2 corners. Mm-hmm. I'd throw Jimmy Moreland in there, let him see what he's not going to be doing worse than Josh Norman. Josh Norman cannot run.
Josh Norman, talk about somebody that checked out long ago. He cashed his checks and then proceeded to just check out. He does not care. It is a team of listless characters that do not appear to give a shit about their professionalism and their effort on the field, because their lack of effort on defense against the Jets was palpable. I mean, you could just see it. They weren't doing anything other than just running through the motions, running through their schemes, but no one was actually working to make a play.
And the problem for the Skins is, and Haskins, I don't care if they lose the rest of the games, but the problems for Haskins is you can't replace these linemen with anybody. There's no one to put in.
It's quite disheartening.
You got to go with these guys, even though they don't want to play.
Right.
I mean, I sent you guys a link.
All right. Yeah. So
he's begging these guys, "What can I do to help you?" And they're looking at him like, "Dude, why are you even talking to me?"
I know.
Like there's no emotion, no feedback, and he's begging them, "What can I do to help? Tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it." And they're just, they have just completely fucking checked out. So there's no coaching, right? Callahan, whatever he's doing ain't resonating with these guys.
But he's a great O-line coach, so what
he might be the most boring interview ever.
But
Minuski is boring.
The problem is the best hope for the Redskins is that they go 1-15, and it is so putrid that even Dan Snyder in his money-making rich ass will say, okay, even now I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed now. So now I have to clean house, and that's a good first step, right? The problem is that nobody worth his fucking salt will come in here and run this team.
And you bring up, that's the $1 million question right there.
Nobody.
Even if somebody, let's say he hired consultants like a la Office Space, and they came in and they were like, yeah, this guy's gone. This guy's out of here. If they did all that,
Bob.
who in their right mind that has pedigree would come here to this dumpster fire?
Who is the most respected personnel guy in the league? The one who I don't know. I'm asking rhetorically. I have no idea who that is. But whoever
Isn't it
that
like
is,
Bill Polian or somebody like that?
Whoever that is,
Yeah, I don't know.
you need to throw the checkbook out and make that person the highest paid executive in sports history, and tell that person, save my franchise.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
And if that's the case, that's the only way you're going to get anybody with credibility, because that guy can go to a coach and say, you're my guy. You deal with me. You don't deal with him.
It's
He
the same
stays out of it.
thing we were saying when the Tomlin talk was coming up. It's like, Bruce, Dan, you don't get my number, or you do get my number, but only, I'll call you, don't call me.
Right.
Simple as that.
Right.
And don't talk to my players.
Yeah, don't.
Do not befriend my players.
And
I
you
want
know
that in my
that
contract.
none of those stipulations would ever happen.
No, I know.
And that's the problem.
Because they try it, and it doesn't work.
Right.
Even with Marty Schottenheimer, he
Yeah.
was that sort of like, this is my way or the highway, stay out of it. And he lost his first 8 games, won his last 8 games, and they were building something,
They were.
and they fell apart because they didn't like it. Because
Crazy.
they weren't involved. He wasn't listening to them.
Yep.
And it was bad marketing because he's probably going to draft a bunch of players that didn't have names and all this. It's just, it's the most pathetic franchise in sports.
The worst.
Yep.
The worst.
And they don't see it. The only way you can do it is if the fans unite against going to the game.
Right.
So
Instead
they only-
of being in the stadium
Yeah.
and yelling, sell the team, just
Right. They only had 20,000 people, and that's pathetic and embarrassing enough. But don't have 20,000 people.
right.
Have no people.
Have a silent
And
game.
have a boycott against them.
It'll be like a soccer match in Turkey.
Have a 20,000 person demonstration, sell the team demonstration. Right? You should. That's how you have to hit these idiots over the head to realize how big of a joke they are. And maybe they just don't give a fuck, man.
Maybe
care.
they don't. Maybe they don't.
He couldn't care less. He's going to go to the game. He's going to act like he's still a great owner, and this is still a proud team. But the team is the worst organization in all of sports.
I would love it if no one showed up, but failing that, I don't know how all this works, because the last time I went to a game was because of your generosity. So I don't know how much stuff costs. I don't know what parking costs. What I would love is, show up and tailgate. Just don't go into the game. And then get somebody in media, and say, wow, there's nobody in the stands. What? Oh, they're all outside.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
So here at FedEx today, we have 40,000 people all in the parking lot.
1,000 Lions
enjoying
fans,
the
yeah.
enjoying the lovely Landover landscape.
But if they're not embarrassed now, they
Seriously.
can't be embarrassed.
And that's where I'm at, is every time we take a step back as an organization and you hit another low. How many times have you seen a beat reporter say, is this rock bottom? Is this rock bottom? Is there anything lower? What is the viewpoint from Snyder et al. And all of his compatriots?
The only way you can fix it is to hit rock bottom and clear everyone out of the building, including Doug Williams. Clear everyone out, and you say, I have one guy who's running the show, and it's this guy who I am just paying $25 million a year to, and I'm telling him to fix my franchise, and I'll see you later.
Right. Yeah.
And that's it.
And we know
That's all
that's
you
not
can
going to
do.
happen. That's a nice pipe dream.
Yeah, that's
but
not going to happen, but that's the only way to fix it.
It's so pathetic.
But do what most of the owners do, except for Jerry Jones. But do what Bisciotti does. You never see that dude talking.
Nope. No, he just goes to Maryland games.
Yeah, but he has a GM who makes good decisions.
Yep.
And works with his head coach, and they work as a good unit.
And they have a coaching staff that drafts players for purpose and tailors the scheme around what they have.
Right.
And they invite like players to come and try out and try and work. And there's a culture of competition and it's uplifting, and it's positive, and it's hard work, and it's professional, and it couldn't be more 180 degrees different with the fucking Redskins.
So I am hoping that the Redskins lose the remaining games. I fully expect them to.
There's another winnable game on the schedule.
yeah.
The only winnable game is the Giants.
Well, anything can happen. Part of me would love to see Dwayne Haskins explode for like 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. And,
See, but I'd love to lose that game. I'd love to see
Yeah.
him go for like 320, 3 touches, no picks, and lose 28-21. I'd be fine with that.
With the Redskins defense, that shouldn't be a problem.
they need
call,
to
Jeremy.
draft. I don't really care what position. Impact, game-changing players.
They need starters over
Chase.
and over
Chase.
and over again.
Yeah, but somebody not only could start. You can't draft a fucking lineman. You just can't do it with a top 5 pick. They're not impactful enough. Yes,
You talking about O-line?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Left tackles are so important, and they need one. I get it, man.
Right.
I get it. I'm not. They need people who can make game-changing plays, sacks, forced fumbles,
Yep.
catches, touchdowns. And that's
They need like 4 Joey Bosa's.
right.
That's what
Well,
they need.
that Chase Young guy.
Oh, yeah.
He can make a play. He can sack the quarterback.
Yep.
He can do everything that Montez Sweat's not doing.
I was going to say, didn't we think Sweat was potentially that guy?
yeah. I mean, but he's young, right? So
Right.
you put him and you put Chase and Montez on one side. Okay,
Right.
And you have decent linebackers. Now you need to get a coach that knows what the fuck he's doing.
See, and there's the
implement
rub,
something.
right? I mean, we could completely overhaul this roster, and it could look talented, and we would still be awful.
But you know what they'll do? They may move Bruce Allen, right, and create the illusion that things are changing, move him into a different title, bring in somebody else, right? They're going to hire someone who doesn't have another option like Marvin Lewis, who likes Dan Snyder, and he likes him, and who's,
I've definitely heard his name thrown around.
yeah,
Yep.
and it's going to be just more of the same bullshit.
Right.
I mean, I have no disrespect for Marvin Lewis. He's
I actually
done a
like
lot,
Lewis.
but he's not going to inspire people.
Nope.
He's just another coach looking to coach again.
Isn't Jay off of his coaching tree?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct.
So I mean, it's just that's going to do nothing to inspire.
No, it's pathetic. Thank God we have distractions, other sports, and the rest of the league is fun to watch. And it is nice having the Ravens right up the road playing such good football, being so exciting to watch. It really gives us no reason to even tune in and root for the Redskins.
What sucks for the Redskins is Tua's injury with the hip surgery
I know.
because now you have that's one less quarterback someone will.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
the Redskins' best day is that they have the number 2 pick. Someone wants to trade an
Reverse
absurd,
RG3.
yeah, absurd amount to either come up and get a quarterback or somebody, but they stay in the top 5 to where they can still get a game-changing player.
Could
That's
not
what
agree more.
I'm hoping for.
That's their best, where they can get a first this year on 5th, a first next year, a second, a third of this year, so they can they just
No,
get
could not
picks
agree
and
more.
only move down a handful of spots.
Well, you still got Burrow and Fromm and Herbert out there. Tua to me, and I'm not trying to kick a man when he's down. He's not a pro to me. I love the kid, but I just don't see him.
His
as a
skill
pro.
set just
That's
doesn't look
before
like
the-
it's going to translate as
before
well.
the
I think he
injuries.
would be a stud.
So
I think he'd be Russell Wilson part 2.
See, and I thought that about Kyler Murray, and he's looking like he's a legit player.
I mean, I think
He's-
Russell. I think Tua reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson.
Okay. I could see that. I think Murray is more in the mold. I'm more in alignment with Jeremy. I don't think Tua's skills translate to
And
the
I like
NFL.
him. I'm not saying I don't. I like him a lot. That's why I'm not a fan of the Skins tanking to get him because I just don't know if he's a guy.
Well, I'm hoping that they realize that Haskins. Oh, fuck you, Pittsburgh. That Haskins is the quarterback of the future. So now they got to start building around him.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
So if you get let's just say the Skins are drafting 2, and they do get a trade down to 5 from some team who wants to draft up to get somebody, and they do collect a bunch of picks, and then at 5 they're sitting there with Jerry Jeudy, the wide receiver from Alabama.
Right.
Now you got Haskins, Jeudy, McLaurin.
Yep.
Okay.
You got some playmakers now.
2 playmakers, right?
Right.
Now you got some picks. You got to pick up a tight end, right?
Get your left tackle in there somewhere.
Get
Third or
a
fourth
left
round.
tackle. I mean, obviously in free agent you can pick up linemen.
Sure.
And I love linemen, but you're not going to get the Dallas Cowboy line of old. You need competence there with good skill people.
Yep.
And be able to make some plays.
Yep. I agree.
I think the lack of a tight end really hurts Haskins because those
100%.
guys
100%.
those guys are the bailout for rookies, man.
They really are. Like
Especially when you had Reed and Davis.
I was going to say, yeah.
Now you don't.
Exactly. No, if Reed and Davis are in that lineup and they're healthy, I mean, talk about the safety nets now that you can build in for a young quarterback, and it's just not there.
Yeah.
What about Trey Quinn? What's he doing these days, Jerry?
He's sitting down, then moving, so he causes the picks.
Yeah. That fucking interception that Haskins threw was completely on Trey Quinn.
I thought it was too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really on both, but I mean, it's like, come on, Trey, dude. I mean, Jesus Christ.
I mean, when you go and you sit, you stay. Right?
Yeah.
You don't go. Okay.
Right. He faked out his own quarterback.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Trey.
You pulled a major.
He was playing hide and seek. What a moron. Now, so, skins are depressing, but, the writing is right there on the wall. Everybody can see it with the exception of those that are, holding the purse strings over there. And Snyder and Allen, if nothing can get through to them, then we're fucked. There's
always a chance to get Kaepernick, though. He's available.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think anybody's touching that. No. I really don't.
He doesn't want to play football. He wants to be a martyr.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean,
he wants to push an agenda, whatever that may be,
yeah.
And it changes all the time. And
28 teams show up for his workout or something like that, and then he changes it to the last minute, and only 8 say he's worth going to see, because at that point the other teams realize this is bullshit.
Right.
This is just a way for him to get on this platform.
That's right.
Has nothing to do with football.
That's right. He's going to go and do a little interview. He's going to put a T-shirt on with a message on it. He's going to
say.
Yep. He's going to say all the things that he wants that are part of whatever agenda he's on that day. He seems to be one of those social justice warriors that's just on to the next and greatest thing.
If he really wanted to make a difference, then play football. And then in the offseason, make a difference.
Sure. Use your
platform,
stardom,
absolutely,
as a platform.
Yeah.
It's whatever. To me, he's completely irrelevant because he hasn't played football in so long. Right. I don't really give a shit.
The problem is he's not worth the juice is not worth a squeeze.
Exactly right. And we talked about it last week.
That's what it is.
If the distractions weren't that big a deal, and his talent was decent, somebody would take a flyer. But clearly,
if Dak Prescott did the same thing, not that he would, but if he did with some of that talent, or Mahomes, or anybody with that, any superstar,
yep,
then you put up with it.
Oh, without question,
right?
Yeah,
but not for some average player.
Hey, man, there's plenty of talented guys that don't have a job, and like you said, the distractions just aren't worth it. Just aren't worth it. So,
who the Terps play tonight?
They play Fairfield, I believe.
Yes, they do at 8:30.
Yeah. What a weird fucking time. How pissed is Mitch, do you think? 8:30 on a Tuesday night, because he's going to go.
Well, those are, I mean, I did that, but it was on a Saturday. But for the 9 o'clock game, man, but that's a late fucking day.
Dude, 8:30? That's a late start.
Especially on a weekday.
Dude, week before Thanksgiving.
Isn't that close,
you got anybody who lives in the area that knows the traffic on 495 at or about rush hour, you got to spend an hour and a half to get down there.
Yep.
And then you get down there for a game that's probably should be over by halftime.
Exactly.
And then you're back in your car, like you're in your car longer than you are in the game.
Yep. I love
and then you have to go to work.
I love the old when these are the days of yore. This is before the Big Ten. This is before all the television contracts were as lucrative, obviously, as they are now. But almost every non-conference game that Maryland played was on a weekend at like 3 o'clock or a weeknight at 7.
Yeah.
And like you said, if it was a blowout at halftime, you went. You got there at 6:55. You watched a great first half. You shot the shit with your friends, your coworkers, or whatever. You were on the road by 8:15. You were back in your house by 8:45 or 9.
It's all about TV though now.
It
is.
is.
To it. On the Saturday game you went to, it's on FS1. Tonight we're on BTN. That's why they're doing this. But Jerry, never discount the soothing flavors of your Canadian Mist and Pepsi or Mountain Dew or whatever that'll bring you along. And make it a good night. Shout out to Mitch there.
All right, so according to Testudo Times, the 3 things to watch in tonight's game are what?
Cheerleaders?
First of all, What can be expected from the Mitchell twins? Right.
Right.
That's one thing to watch.
No, that is interesting because they seem to be a little bit more raw than I think some people thought they were.
The second thing is to watch the new defensive strategy implemented by Turgeon, which is a 1-2-2 press defense. Mm-hmm. It's press Virginia.
Press Virginia. It's a good one.
And then how many milestones will Anthony Cowan surpass? He needs 2 more points to pass James Gist.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
A Maryland legend.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Well, unless you're a Maryland fan, you have no idea
Right.
who James Gist is.
Well, do you know where he went to high school, Jerry? James Gist?
I have no idea. I remember the name, but I don't remember anything about him.
That's really sad considering you had a job there. But all right,
You define job as like a volunteer JV defensive line coach.
coaching 2 guys at a time.
Yeah. I did not know he went there. I knew Stephon Diggs went there. We're talking about good counsel.
Of course we are. James Gist, local boy.
Roger Mason Jr. went there too, I think.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And also, Cowan needs 1 more 3-pointer to eclipse Walt.
Wow.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
good one. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, they look really solid. Maryland does, and I know that first half against Rhode Island wasn't great, and that was the only real team that they've played thus far. But so we talked about it last week. Kentucky lost on their home floor to an inferior opponent. They had to come back and beat Utah Valley the other night.
Did they? I didn't even watch it.
Yeah, I think they won by 3. I mean, and they're still in the top 10 somehow.
Well, they're Kentucky, man.
well,
they
they
have
are
a bunch of
Kentucky.
McDonald's All-Americans, and by the end of the year, they'll make the Sweet 16 and make a run.
Yeah, probably.
Maryland is a 26-point favorite.
Oh, I'm all in on Maryland there. I don't. What they did to Oakland on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, that defense that they're playing right now is stifling, and that's the thing. They've added a lot of athletic, hardworking guys. They have the high end talent. I mean, Sticks, Jalen Smith is high end talent.
He's
right?
really good, yeah.
Aaron Wiggins is high end talent. That guy's a shooter, and
My
that
favorite
guy's
player
fucking
on
good.
this team is Morcell.
Morcell. See, Morcell, Smith, Cowan,
Ayala.
Dude, those guys are tough as nails. They're never going to play D the way Tony Bennett's Virginia teams play D. But if they can adopt that mentality where it's like, lock them down. We're going to have our nights where we go 2 for 18 from 3. But if the other team has nothing, it's not even going to be close.
Yeah, I mean, like I tried to adopt a player on every team I support. The Caps is TJ Oshie. That's my guy. And so Morcell, if I had to get a jersey for this year's team, it'd be a Morcell jersey. I just like the way he plays.
Love the way that guy
I think
plays.
He's a glue guy.
Love it. Love it.
I think we've said it before. He's this team's Mouton.
Byron Mouton, a la national championship winning Byron Mouton. So go Terps very, very early in the college basketball season. Jeremy and I were talking a little bit.
When's the first real game they play?
So they go to this tournament over Thanksgiving down in Orlando, and their first game's against Temple, and that's going to be a tough game. And the other teams in that tournament are pretty decent.
Yeah, Temple always gives Maryland fits, man.
They're tough,
Slow
man.
it down,
No, but
catch up a little bit.
they're going to some Orlando Invitational, and every team there is decent. I think Maryland should come out of that unscathed. I mean, if they're really a top 10 team,
Yeah, if they're what we expect them to be, they'll have a tough game or two, but they'll be able to pull it out in the end and be whatever 8-0 or whatever they come back, whatever it's going to be.
yep. But the Big Ten starts relatively early in the season. They play Notre Dame in the ACC Big Ten Challenge.
We got a couple weeks on that one.
Yep, December 4th, I believe it is. And so there are some tough games on the schedule, but I mean, if they drop a game in the next few weeks, I'm going to be surprised. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be the end of the world, but it's definitely going to be one of those where it's like, come on, guys. I mean, you're not top 20. You're not this upstart team. You have now established college studs. You have young, really, really athletic, great freshmen, and you've got role players.
Yeah, it's the kind of team you always want. You got your veteran point guard.
Bingo.
Marcel's a vet.
Yep.
Other than that, they're young guys, but the talent is just
the talent's out of
ridiculous.
this world, man.
But, and I know we've sort of talked about it offline, but, they're going to have stretches in the game where they're not playing well. But they've got the talent to overcome that.
They do.
They can lose 5-minute stretches. That's not a problem. Make the comeback, win by 5 instead of by 15. That's no problem. But that,
Yep.
that should be 9 out of 10 games, at least 8 out of 10 games for them this season.
See, and I'm with you on that one, and this is why I think this team is a little different. If they go into a game against a Temple or against, Alabama or some team that's in that middle ground, and let's say it's 68-66 with 3 minutes left, there's no reason for them to hang their head. They need to go, you know what? Let's score the next 10 points. Let's put this game away, and if we win by 5, 6, or 7, so be it. And then if somebody comes out and goes, oh, they should have won by 20, yeah, you know what? They didn't, but they still got it done.
Exactly.
And I think this team's capable of that.
And that was actually when I heard Turge on the radio a little bit today, and he said it's one of those things that the expectations having to manage, top 10 team. He's like, maybe we haven't earned it yet. We will, but we haven't yet. He's like, we're not going to win each half by 25. And they need to understand that.
Yes.
And that's just
Fuck
where they're
that.
going.
Fuck you, Turgeon. Win each half by 25.
That would probably be some kind of record.
So before we wrap for the week, let's touch a little bit on college football because the college football playoff rankings have come out for this current week.
You gonna read those off? 'Cause I don't know
Yes.
what they
So
are.
currently, here is what we have. These are the college football
Is West Virginia in the
playoff
top 4?
rankings. They
They're
are not.
actually, 1 plus.
Shockingly, they in Maryland are not, nowhere to be found on this list. So here is your top 10 according to College Football Playoff Committee of the week. LSU number 1, Ohio State number 2, Clemson number 3, Georgia comes in at number 4, Alabama drops to number 5, Oregon is at 6, Utah is at 7, Oklahoma 8, Penn State 9, Florida 10. So on the outside of your top 10 are Michigan and Baylor and Minnesota.
Okay.
I think Ohio State rolls Penn State and Michigan and wins the Big Ten, so they're going to be in. LSU, I think, will run the table and be in. Clemson will run the table because they play, I think, Hampton-Sydney next.
The ACC is so fucking
They're
bad.
terrible.
They are awful. And this is coming from a Maryland fan whose team I applaud when we get a first down and it's not by penalty.
Maryland
So
would get a bowl bid this year in the ACC.
it's quite
I
possible.
mean, Pitt's like 7-3, and they average like 15 points a game. But
Seven defensively.
the key is going to be, I think how it's going to turn out is I think Alabama's going to find a way to beat Auburn.
They're going to find their way into the top 4 because Saban
because
he'll
Georgia is probably going to lose to LSU in the SEC championship, which will give them 2 losses and bounce them out. And then you're going to have of the one, Alabama will have 1 loss, and then of the rest of the 1-loss teams, they're Alabama.
exactly.
So they're going to
Right.
their
But
strength of schedule
there is
is
no Tua, though, right? I mean,
there is no Tua, but the strength of their schedule is.
Saban will sell his soul if he has to get into the college football playoff top 4.
he's only done it 5 times already, but I guess what's 6?
Hey, what the hell? He's already down the rabbit hole. He may as well keep going.
I mean, you guys of the top 10. I don't know much about Oregon or Utah, but I presume they have to play each other.
West Coast, so they
Right? Who gives a
have
shit
to
about
suck,
them?
right?
Oklahoma, nobody likes the Big 12. Minnesota's done.
You're in the Big 12 and you don't even like
know.
it.
So I don't see
The
anybody
one team
except for
on there that I'm scared of, and not scared that they're good, but scared they're somehow going to find their way in is Penn State. And I know they're way down the list, but I hate them
they're
so
8,
much.
But they have to beat Ohio State.
I know.
And if they beat Ohio State, they should be in it.
I know, and that pisses me off. I don't like that.
Their quarterback right now is getting death threats, so he had to go off Twitter from his own fans, which shows you what kind of morons people from Pennsylvania are. So
Well, you just made me feel a whole lot better. Thank you, Jerry.
they're just unlikable people.
I hate that
Your
school.
fucking roads suck. Your teams suck. You're just assholes.
And, I know how we feel about Franklin, but he had a comment that won't surprise you. Be like, we appreciate the support from the positive fans, and then basically left it at that. And I was like,
Don't
little
give
shot
death
there.
threats to your starting quarterback when you're 9-1, or if you're 1-9. Don't give death threats
it's
to your starting quarterback. It's
college.
fucking
Or how about
football.
just don't
people.
give death threats?
Don't be
No, I
an
mean, if you want to
asshole.
give death threats to Sidney Crosby, I'm all for that. I'll defend you. That guy's a douchebag.
Jesus Christ.
And if you want to give death threats to Eric Guberson or whatever the fuck his name is,
Fuck him. He's so down.
and
the list.
Furlat, that
I'll
guy
s-
sucks too.
I'll spit on that guy.
Obviously, don't give death threats to anybody, but if you do, call me. I'll defend you.
Jerry will he'll launder your death threat through the proper channels.
It wasn't a death threat.
I will
per se.
mitigate.
You'll-
It was
you'll
more
mitigate.
of a
I will
threat
mitigate it.
to wake you up to perform at a higher level. or something.
Yeah, you know, football fans and fans in general are morons.
They really are.
Speaking of morons, this dumbass just kicked the puck into his own net. Good job, asshole.
Well, assholes around every corner.
Way to go, 21. That's why you play for Ottawa. Look at our game. Ottawa versus the Red Wings. Jesus Christ.
Well, that might be two worst teams in the league right
Why
there.
can't the Caps play them the next 5 games?
They will play plenty of bad teams in the NHL, but every bad team in the NHL still has a stud player, and that is a fact. And it's why
I don't think Ottawa's got a stud player.
they do.
Thomas Shabbat.
Yep.
Andrew Shabbat, I went to high school with him.
Yeah, it's his brother.
And Peugeot, right?
Yeah, Peugeot. Yeah, he's there.
Your definition of stud is different than my definition of stud.
So they're not one of the 11 players that are on pace for 100
Fucking
points.
Chandler
However,
Stevenson would be like at the top line there.
dude, Stevenson now has
Don't
multiple
even say it.
goals.
Don't even say it.
Goals.
He scored one where he didn't shoot it, and the second one he scored when nobody else was playing,
What third
and
one?
everybody was fighting.
Hey, dude, the
I mean,
goalie,
seriously.
was in the net. He was in position, and Stevenson beat him.
When Dave
World
texted,
fucking beater.
because I wasn't watching. When Dave texted and said Stevenson for MVP, I went back and looked at the goal, and I was like, Jesus Christ! Everybody's in the back of the goal. Like it's just him and the goalie. I was like, was it a freaking, what's the thing when he cut when the there's nobody else on the ice? God damn it!
Penalty
shot. There you go. Fuck you, Jeremy.
It was not a penalty shot, and it was beautiful. Chandler Stevenson, we salute you.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine being the goalie? Like, where the fuck is everybody? Whoa! He's coming! The whistle blow.
That whole play was crazy. So I hope the Caps continue their success, but I really hope that these these scrums and these things are behind us now. Hey, this time next week we'll obviously know the result of the hearing with Hathaway, and
Hathaway will be back, and we'll forget it even happened.
I hope so. God, I hope so.
Maybe he'll be spending 5 games. He'll have time to come on the pod with us.
That's right. Yeah, if he has a lengthy suspension, we should definitely get him on here.
I don't want to piss that dude off either. He's probably like, which one of you motherfuckers call me Garrett?
You'd be like, I did. Sorry, sir.
This guy named Jeremy. He's a dick.
Yeah, Garnett's a way
Garnet,
cooler name.
Don't call me Garrett or I'll spit on you, Hathaway.
So no, another great week in DMV sports, and more excitement ahead. And again, with how much college basketball is ramping up, the NHL plays pretty much every other night for the Caps here for the next couple weeks. It's fun to have teams that are good, that are playing well, and you don't have to sit there. Thank God we're not like a Redskins beat reporter. I mean, that used to be like a sought after job. Now, I mean, it is so thankless.
Pretty sure JP Finley hates getting up in the morning.
He does. We were
Yeah,
just
sure,
listening
it's
to
his
him on the way
paycheck,
over.
but-
He sounds so disinterested in the
You mean
team.
all the
He's like,
potato chip talk?
yes.
He's like, yeah, didn't we have this conversation last week?
Yeah.
Haskins was meh.
yeah. They still
Coaching
suck.
was terrible. Nobody seems to want to play.
I hate my Movember mustache.
Yeah, well, the Skins will still be shitty, and we'll still be here. So tune in next week. Wings, beers, and tears. Give us a listen, and
soon we're going on the road.
we are. We may do a mobile podcast for you from the Caribbean. It is the powers that be are in the works right now.
I rarely drink during the podcast. In fact, I don't think I've ever drank during the podcast. I
don't think you have.
I will be freaking obliterated
You
during that
shouldn't have
podcast.
said
I can't
that.
wait.
You're making Wings, Beers, and Tears a fraud here.
I can't.
You guys drink
fucking
enough
wait.
for you guys are popping. When you do it, you really do. I do Diet Dr. Peppers.
Yeah,
Diet Dr.
yeah.
Pepper is delicious. It
Now
really- really
we'll
is.
we'll be doing some shots. We'll be in the Caribbean in a couple weeks, and we will bring you some entertaining DMV sports news from afar. Until then, we will see you on the other side. Join us, Wings, Beers, and Tears. Give us a follow, and we will see you next week.
Later.
Yes.